I lived a very difficult moment in 2008, and Assassin's Creed was there.
For me, Assassin's Creed represents my whole video gaming career. It's really like where I learned my job, where I grew in my job.
That was really the game that showed to me, hey, you gotta step it up, but like you gotta move on from the PS2. And I fell in love ever since.
Assassin's Creed, especially in those early days, showing people what could be done in this kind of broad open space.
Just like climbing up things and just looking at this world and being like, oh wow, I've never done this in a video game before.
You get to experience time periods you maybe heard about at school, but now you get to like experience it in a completely different way.
It's not just a game, it has a philosophy behind it.
It's a universe. It's not just a single setting in a single time, but it's different settings at different times. It's like a narrative universe that comes to life.
The success of Assassin's Creed definitely showcased the potential of open worlds and the potential of, let's say, interesting movement through open worlds.
For Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed was very, very important because it was really the game that set the global company as a big leader of the industry.
Especially the first Assassin's Creed games have a lot of features that open worlds since then from other companies have adopted.
This is something very unique that literally, I think, drove Ubisoft's, path for the last decade at least, showing that we could reach this level of ambition, basically.
Guards! He's behind me! You have to stop him!
Je suis entrée dans Assassin's Creed avec le 2. J'ai fait le 1 plus tard, donc je suis tout de suite tombée sur Ezio Auditore, dont je suis totalement tombée amoureuse, mais amoureuse au sens large, c'est-à-dire que j'ai trouvé le personnage vraiment super intéressant.
Insieme per la vittoria!
I love Renaissance, I always loved that, so I am also Italian too, and yeah, it resonates a lot with me.
I listen to history podcasts and I read novels set in historical times, and Assassin's Creed is just kind of the epitome of that, like actually getting to explore a historical world. And that you can go to places that I've actually been in real life, because I haven't really been anywhere apart from England. That was amazing.
2017 was special for me because I just graduated and I was doing like YouTube on the side up until that point, but now it was really like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And the coverage I was able to do on that game, and like I really fell in love with it, and making videos on it really solidified my chances as like a full-time YouTuber, and I've been doing it ever since.
What I always loved about these games is that they are telling a story that goes through the ages, and at the same time, the events happening in the past have consequences on the present day, on the modern day. So it's this connection through time that I was always interested in, especially in the first games. That's what started the fire of passion for these games.
How does this work? Of course.
Deep breath.
The main ingredient something like that has to have is it needs to allow players to come in and almost create the story with us.
In 2013, I started, along with a number of Italian friends, this fan project. It's called Access the Animus. It's dedicated to all the information about Assassin's Creed.
You'll always be tied to it because of just how connected they've kept you in from the beginning, and because of the storyline and the lineage of each of the characters, where they've come from, their ancestors and stuff like that.
Even when we don't have a new Assassin's Creed game coming out, fans can already start dreaming about what they'd like to see. They can start drawing pictures of assassins that they would like to see in different parts of history.
Okay, the new Assassin's Creed game, where are we at? What's the timeline? How is this connected to the main people and stuff?
We try to explain as much as we can to the other fans because it's a huge franchise with a lot of details.
players. They can project themselves, many, many games down the road and discuss.
It's been 15 years since the franchise starts, so there's a lot of stuff that you can miss while playing or reading or enjoying the franchise.
Imaginative participation is what gives a good brand or a good universe legs.
For me, is that there's a good reason to boot this game up months, years after launch. Not only to experience that time period again, but also because there's new content. Like the support for a single player only game is really incredible and something we don't see in other games.
We need to, at the same time, please the fans, but also give reasons for newcomers to join the community.
When you first open the box and this brown box, you see this logo that has appeared recently. Yeah, you have the letter that...
It was a crazy letter. Like these boxes that have been sent to the mentors, they always have a letter and then different goodies.
It's very important to listen to fans because as a dev and as an artist, as a writer, I need to understand what they've enjoyed, what moves them.
After this letter, you have the bust of one of the most iconic character, which is Amunet, which is our very first mentor.
In the chat, Discord, yes.
Marco and I are fans on this brand since its beginnings.
The Assassin's Creed series has evolved over the years, certainly. I think there were the seeds in the early games of all the places that the games have gone since. The biggest challenge I've faced in developing this series is learning to manage the proportion between historical accuracy and historical events.
I can understand that with game design, there has to be some choices sometimes have to be made.
I think it's important to declare where the historical veracity starts and stops.
There's an example, like the Bastille stays in Unity even after it should have been destroyed, because that's part of the skyline and there's a lot of gameplay involved with there. There's like guards moving in there, so I understand why it was not removed, even if it's very visible.
Assassin's Creed is important for the industry and was important at the time, especially because it helped show that we could have a very good mix between playfulness, having a challenging adventure, etc., and also a very serious, if not mature, setting.
En tout cas, les Assassin's Creed n'ont pas vocation à être des cours d'histoire. Je suis pas là pour retourner à l'école.
By the time I got to Black Flag, I understood that telling a story was far more important than really just making sure that all the history was accurately represented.
Can we? Here, in a world without gold, we might have been heroes.
Ça va surtout être l'ambiance, les décors, les environnements et les différents personnages qu'on va rencontrer qui sont importants. Après, que ce soit pas exactement comme ça s'est passé dans la vraie vie, ça me dérange pas. Ce qui va compter pour moi, c'est le plaisir du gameplay, la liberté, la découverte.
Requiescat in pace, Caesar.
And it's my hope that I think going forward that we continue to do that. That there's a game there every couple of years for everybody. For me personally, the historical tourism and the Assassin Templar conflict are my favorite elements, and I hope to get the chance to dive deeper into that in the coming years.
I do hope to see the return of the assassin fantasy, doing missions for the Brotherhood, discussing the creed, having a look at the take on the creed on that specific time.
I can't wait to understand why Basim became the one we know in Valhalla. I'm ready to have some parkour moves also, because in fact there's something that is missed in the last 3 games.
The beauty of Assassin's Creed, it's built in such way that it can continue to evolve, respecting what has been said, but bringing new ideas, new stories, new concepts. And so I think that the future is very bright for Assassin's Creed.
Il y a des jeux comme ça qui ont marqué l'histoire, il y en a quelques-unes, mais il n'y en a pas tant que ça, qui sont encore là aujourd'hui, après tant de temps. Et Assassin en fait partie, et j'espère que ça va continuer. On aura encore de belles histoires et des contextes historiques encore à explorer avec la saga.
Remember, nothing is true. Where other men are limited by morality or law, remember, everything is permitted. We work in the dark to serve the light. We are assassins.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
I think we covered a lot. We covered a lot.
Okay, thanks, Darby. All right, thanks. Good luck.
Good luck.
See you.
See you.